CGP.
Cleveland Gaming Podcast.
Video games, culture, anime, toys, pinball, tabletop.
CGP.
Cleveland
Gaming Podcast.
Here we go.
CGP. This is the Cleveland Gaming Podcast.
CGP.
Time to press start.
What's up, fellow nerds, gamers, and everyone in between? We would like to welcome you back to a brand new episode of the Cleveland Gaming Podcast. My name is Cory. I am the program director, the MC of the main stage, number 3 on the leaderboard. Just amazed that we actually turned the corner and got 2 seasons out of this ridiculous passion project that I proposed on a whim when I had too many beers in me one day. But we can't do this show without the man, the, with a capital T, myth, and of course, the final boss. His name is Mr. Tom Jenkins. Tom, how in the world did we get 2 seasons out of this single pipe dream of a podcast?
The big question will be, is this season going to be better or worse than season 1, though, Cory?
Well, I mean, okay, so if traditionally, we have to say it's got to be worse, right? But I love sequels. I really enjoy sequels. I mean, Terminator 2, Empire Strikes Back, Wrath of Khan.
Cory.
Tom.
All right. I am actually trying to come prepared to the podcast now. You're welcome, audience. So, Cory, stop stealing my show notes. And I had show notes, and one of my questions for you, you already took some of my answers. I was talking about T2, Empire, Dune Part 2. Thank you. Dan and I saw this together. Great.
That was amazing.
Great movie.
This will not be, but I'm going to promise to our fans right now, this is no Gladiator 2. Discuss.
Not seen it yet, but now I know.
It's bad. I tried really hard to stay awake, but I'm excited to be here. So this is going to be Dune Part 2, Back to the Future 2, which I'm a big fan of. T2, Empire. This is our Empire. This is our Empire.
This is our Empire. That's right. And of course, you've heard him briefly in the background here, but we started season 1 with, of course, player 2 of the Cleveland Gaming Classic. And, you know, he might just be the Lisan Al-Gaib of the Cleveland Gaming Classic. Dan Lallo, welcome back to the show. I mean, how can we not start a season without this guy right here? I'll tell you, when I'm sweating, Tom, and I'm like hustling at the show, you see Dan just walking around dressed up like a Mortal Kombat character, and there's no way that you couldn't be like, all right, everything's okay.
We're here. Well, thank you for having me again, Cory. It's good to be back. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, Player 2 is what Tom gave me that title a couple of years ago. I mean, I guess it's probably because I was like the first all-in volunteer that you had, like, for real.
You sucker.
Back in, like, what was that, 2018? Was it 2018 the first time you
something
called?
like that. I don't know. Yeah, probably somewhere around there.
It was, Tom was at Wagner's.
And since then, tons of CRTs lifted later, he's still here.
My back is stronger for it.
Sorry, Dan. We're getting old.
It's true, but this podcast is still young, and as we vault off here in season 2, before we dip into the main content of this episode, a few bits of housekeeping and upkeeping. The show is brought to you by all of you because you're here, you're joining us, you know, as one of the premier Northeast Ohio shows, conventions, grown by Ohioans. It means a lot to us that you are on us with this journey. So find us on all the socials. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, our YouTube channel, where we publish all these episodes, and follow and subscribe and link and help share it. And whenever we have a question at the end, please feel free to respond to it. We love being able to engage with all of you and start a little discourse. Let's get a little debate going. Maybe, Tom, you know, we talk about the validity of teabagging in the contemporary. It's okay. We all used to do it. It's fine.
There's no debating.
Are we speaking in strictly Halo terms, or are we just talking about teabagging? Right. And you know what? It's wherever you are, you know, I need some context.
As I like to think, you know, Tom, now I call him Mr. Oolong because he just loves those tea bags, you know? But
oh my gosh, so bad.
And also, of course, don't forget that this show, the Cleveland Gaming Podcast, one of the best gaming podcasts in all the land, and by land, I mean Cleveland, is here because it is the sister to the Cleveland Gaming Classic, our convention that celebrates all things gaming, and that is video games, the tabletop, D&D, card games, and anything that could keep you amused in between those 9 to 5 working hours. So, set the dates aside, September 19th through the 21st, and tickets are live right now. You can buy your tickets and get your space reserved to come to, quite frankly, a badass show.
We opening up swearing in season 2? I know I finished season 1 with dropping an F-bomb, and you called me out on that. So I just want to make sure, what's the bar here? This has always been a kid-friendly podcast, so...
I don't think badass is like a swear. I really don't think so.
Right.
I think it's just a real term of endearment.
Just setting ground rules here.
But even PG-13, you can get away with one F-bomb and still call it PG-13. That is true fact right there. So
I would gauge that, though, in the full length of the season. You can't drop an F-bomb every episode. He got his one. He got it right there at the end.
was rough.
So, Tom, you're starting to do the math on it. How are you going to use it this season?
No, I'm holding on. I'm going to wait.
So I was like, how many episodes in between do I have to wait?
He's got to wait for our showrunner, Kathleen, to get on the episode, and then he'll be ready for it, But, today we're kicking off season 2, and we've got a lot of things going on with this season that we're excited for to make it a little bit different than the last season, while still keeping the truth and the celebration of something that we love present in the podcast. But before we get to 2025, in our holiday episode, we got to talk to myself, to Tom. Yeah, I talk to myself all the time. That was weird.
Probably a great interview.
Thank you, Dan. But we didn't get a chance to talk to you yet, Dan, about the Cleveland Gaming Classic in 2024. Could you share with us what were some of your favorite moments from the show, highlights, or maybe just getting a chance to play Galga and beat Tom at it, or something like that? I'd love to know. What were some of your favorite moments from the Cleveland Gaming Classic last year?
So this actually was an extremely memorable moment, not just for the show, but like in my life, I'd say, what occurred this weekend. And it involves our special guests, Ed Boone and John Tobias, and Tom sent me out of nowhere. He's like, hey, I need you to go to the airport and pick up Ed and John. And I'm like...
Oh, you were so mad at me. You didn't even know what was happening. I love this. I love your
that
bringing
was
this up.
when... I didn't get mad about that.
That was the cooler. That was the cooler.
I got a little miffed about that. But we were at the show, and he's like, I need you to go now. Go get them. So I went to the airport, and I got to pick them up. And it turns out that Sal DeVito was also there, and I believe it was John's son. So I only have a Nissan Altima. I'm expecting just 2 guys, and there's 4. So I felt bad that let's see, it was John. No, it was Ed. Ed and John got left behind. It was Ed and Sal. Ed and Sal
you had to do
got
a
left
separate
behind.
trip.
So I just took John and his son.
But you remember the first thing I asked you? Do you remember the first thing I asked
Like,
you?
how clean's your car?
Yes, exactly. Oh, it's so funny you remember that. Because I was like, Dan, first of all, how clean is your car?
It's immaculate. I keep that immaculate.
That's so funny you remember that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I remember that too, because Tom, you were running around the convention asking all the people and the close upper volunteer and some of our team.
Correct.
Then we have a clean car. We got to pick these guys up. They're landed. Somebody help.
I was definitely Uber caliber for sure. But being like, and I also dropped them back off at the hotel, and then being able to just have a private interview, basically, just private conversation with John. It was kind of conversation you don't get in a panel setting. It's not a controlled audience. It's a private conversation. So that was really cool to be in. I couldn't believe these guys are in my car. And then I'd say, other than that, Tom was kind enough to buy a scorpion costume for me. And then Aaron has not been on this podcast yet. We should get him on one of these days. But
Cory and I were talking about that. Cory brought that up recently.
All right, then next time we can get him over here.
Well, we gotta find the right way to capitalize. We gotta find the right way to capitalize on him. We haven't quite sorted on it yet. For those listeners out there, Aaron is another one of the prolific volunteers at CGC. I gotta say, every time though he is at any of our trips out to other conventions or at the show itself, He always brings levity and fun and absurdity to a way that I couldn't describe exactly on the podcast.
We'll have to let Aaron on that podcast, I'll save the story, tell our listeners how he talked himself out of a ticket by mentioning CGC. True story. Then I will let him tell that story.
I don't know that story. Save it.
Oh yeah, let's save that. We'll tease that story. Yeah, we'll have him on. But being able to dress up as Scorpion was and walking around the show and then taking photos of people. People are going nuts. You know, we're just posing next to them with our fists out and fighting stance ready to go.
Yeah, legit. I saw people like stopping you to take photos like proper cosplayers. I'm like, you know, it was a real like Tom and I late at night coming up with like stupid ideas for the show to get the two of you to dress up as the ninjas, and then you actually just became low-key celebrities of 2024.
Totally. It felt that way. I can tell you, it definitely felt that way. Parents are sending their kids over to us, but the icing on the cake was when Ed Boon raised his head and saw us, and he came up to me and said, "Can I have my picture with you?" And I'm like, "Wait, you're asking for a picture with me?" I'm like, "That's my line. I'm supposed to say that." But he was so excited and happy, and so me and Aaron and him, you know, then the rest of the crew, I mean, of course, everybody got in there, and to be in that situation, that stands out totally for sure, is top moment for me.
Well, Dan, I'll also give you my favorite moment of yours from my point of view from last year, and that was your help with the Get Over Here challenge.
Get over here!
Yeah.
In between our presentation and awards round during the cosplay contest, we've done something the last 2 years to kind of give the judges time to think. Year before, we had the Tim Misney eyebrow competition. This year, we did the Get Over Here challenge, where we had to have a series of volunteers pretend to be Scorpion and like do the rope pull on our friend Aaron. And Dan, you really kicked us off. Honestly, Dan, like we talked about the whole on the microphone. You didn't need the microphone at all for it. I was watching the footage of it when I'm putting out all of our main stage videos. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't put the microphone by you, because I'm fairly confident people could hear you from the entrance of CGC from the stage. You guys were so great. And what was great too is like it's all part of helping out Raiden Science Foundation last year. So it was just so great to see the two of you get to kind of ham it up on stage and give people a really cool experience.
Yeah, it was definitely fun, and it was great to have the charity so involved this year like we have in the past. So definitely looking forward to more situations like that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And, you know, this year we've got a lot of new things that are brewing in the world of charitable give, and we'll give you more information as that starts to come out, because we've got a lot of things tied with programming and directionally how the show is going to take, you know, shape this year and in the future. But before we kind of go a little bit away from Dan, you in particular, because when I was listening back to the tapes and research for this episode, it's undeniable your love for a certain franchise known as Elden Ring. We never got around to doing a full episode on it, so I felt kind of guilty, and I thought, you know what? Since last year, it had a very special release known as Shadow of the Erd Tree, which, as downloadable content, actually got nominated for Game of the Year, which I still can't understand fully. But Dan, tell us, did you play Shadow of the Erd Tree?
Oh, I had that pre-ordered as soon as I saw that it was available, or that it was going to be available, I should say. So yes, I did. I did sit down, and I should preface this that going into the DLC, I was over level 200. I had like a level 220 character, which is OP. You can one-shot most anybody, you know, and then bosses are a joke. Knowing that, going into the DLC, very first enemy I come across slaughters me like 5 times in a row. It is unforgiving, and they add a new mechanic where your base stats aren't enough. You have to basically get multipliers through the whole thing. So without the multipliers, it forces you to explore the whole map, so it's a good mechanic. But yeah, I mean, it's more Elden Ring. How they come up with this stuff, the art is just great. But I did not know that it was nominated for Game of the Year, with it just being DLC too. That's interesting.
Kind of wild, right? Yeah, it was. I don't remember the full list, but I remember some notable ones. One of my favorite games from last year, Metaphorically, which I just finished recently. Astrobot, which was the actual winner. And I know that I believe one of our guests spoke about it. I think it was Wukong also got nominated in there as well. But yeah, Astrobot ended up winning, which was pretty cool. Now that we've kind of caught up with Dan, some of your specificities and giving our audience a little character and flavor underneath you, let's go back to the question that we have to ask every time we start this show. Guys, what are we playing right now? Let's start with you, Dan.
Okay.
Are you still playing through Shadow of the Erdtree? Have you finished all of that? Or have you moved on to the next game that you're going to push over 100 to 200 hours on?
I'm actually 3 games beyond Shadow of the Erdtree now. So finished that. Then I went on to Dark Souls 3, which I thought would be easy because I'm an Elden Pro. Not so much. It's different, slightly different. You know, I definitely underestimated the game. Then Spider-Man 2 was peppered in there.
Great game. I really enjoyed completing that. That was fun.
It is amazing. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I mean, it is up there. They just did an amazing job with that.
It's a little buggy, but I still enjoy it.
Oh, buggy? I didn't think so. I didn't notice
yeah, it caught me.
the bugs.
I got caught in some buildings sometimes.
Oh, that I had a smooth experience. It was a nice ride for me. Were you playing on PS5 or PC?
PS5.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was good. Maybe I just lucked out.
How's it feel, Dan, to just be so lucky to have such a smooth experience?
You know what? You can't put a price on it, Corey. You really can't. I mean, there are not enough dollars. There's not enough gold to back the currency that you would need to put a value to that.
Well, I guess you're not losing any rune over that, right?
No runes over that, or souls.
Bunch of nerds.
But now I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, and now we're in a whole new world. Like, I sunk a disgusting amount of hours into Elden Ring, not even counting the DLC. More than I'd care to admit. But Baldur's Gate is already going to blow that away, just because of the detail and the time you take exploring the world.
Tell Corey what you told me the other day, what you're doing in Baldur's Gate 3. That's...
Oh, about like
your save points.
Oh, I'm saving constantly, like before every step in a conversation.
Because of all the
I'm
dice
saving.
rolling, right? All the RNG, you're like, I really want to make sure I get all the
No,
important key moments, or
So I guess I'm probably doing it wrong, because one of the great things about this is that you just enable your character and you make decisions and you deal with the consequences, and then the story plays out. And then if you want to do it again, it's got better replayability, because you can just, well, I'm a paladin this time. He would always do the right thing. Or if you want to go be a charlatan rogue, then you're going to sow discord among everybody. But for me, I don't know, I just want to do the best possible outcome. So if one of the characters disapproves of my decision, before I answer any question, I'm saving it and then see how it plays out. Is Shadowheart approving of me? Yeah, okay, we're good. Because we want
Shadowheart the one? Is she the one?
We want Shadowheart to like us. Oh yeah.
not Lazael, not Karlach, just all in on Shadowheart.
I don't care about anyone else. that is the pivotal point of the storyline for me. As long as she approves, then we are good.
It's good to take inventory on what's important. Tom, what are you playing?
All right, so I was sharing with you, Corey. I think you the other day, Corey, when I was playing. So, but I'll share 2 things. So today, I just downloaded Wobble Dogs on the Switch. Have you guys heard of this game?
What is that?
It's so weird. So Harrison, he's my oldest son for listeners, comes up to me. He's like, "Yeah, can we download this game called Wobble Dogs?" So it's kind of like Tamagotchi type, but it uses the weird dog ragdoll physics. But you raise a dog and you feed it things and you breed it, and it's you like mutate it and they create pupa, or it's
what?
It's all cracked out. This game is so weird. It is so weird.
Is this like the dog version of the Dreamcast Nimoy Classic Seaman?
Kind of, and it's all weird. But this is, he's like, oh man, all I see is people on, like, they watch YouTube Kids, and like kids I sound like such a boomer here. But he's like, I was watching these videos and all they're playing is Wobble Dogs. So he really wants to play Wobble Dogs. So I download this. Watching him play it, and I'm helping him play it, and you like whistle at the dog, and it uses those weird ragdoll physics, and so that's one thing I was playing today, I will admit. Then the other thing I've been playing so much lately, since CGC, is Age of Empires 2. Oh, God.
Fantastic.
Yep, that's what you shared with me. Yeah.
I just love RTS games. So I was always a big Command & Conquer, Red Alert 2. I never got into like Yuri's Revenge. That's too much. But like Red Alert 2 to me was like top tier. But then AoE 2, Age of Empires 2, for me, I love it. And there's still such a active community online, even if, you know, it's free on Microsoft, whatever, Xbox Game Pass. You look for a match, you can find one within 2 minutes easily. It's just so wild. I'm doing 2v2s, 3v3s, 1v1 competitive, so that's all I'm doing.
So you're playing people, not the computer.
Oh, no, yeah, it's all PvP online, and it's great. And it's just like it is back in the day, you know, where you've got the, you know, you type to enter, you know, hotkeys, and you can, you know, it makes noises, or you can, you know what the keys are, or like, build a wall to protect your town, like, you know, like if you press 55, that's what we'll say, or you enter 14, say start the game already. So you know, like the old school classic way to taunt your competitors. It's priceless. So
Can you / pizza?
what does that mean?
That's a cheat code for food, right?
Have you guys never heard? No. This is
Is that like an
so
unlimited
this is
food sheet or something like that, or what?
So this is what one of my friends once told me. So it's a secondhand account, but it's online as well.
Okay.
But back in old MMOs, you would have a command / pizza, and you could set it up so Domino's would automatically deliver a preferred pizza order to you. So if you're putting hours into it and you can't move away from a raid, that a Domino's delivery man will order it for you with just / pizza.
Oh wow, I've never heard that.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either.
It's like Uber Eats before Uber Eats.
Wow.
Nice.
But I'm loving it. It's easy. It's easy.
Yeah, I believe. Do you use cheat codes?
No, cheats are always disabled. Wonders, if you're familiar with wonders that's where you build this giant wonder because that ends the game. Always play like just 2v2, 3v3, just classic, you know.
That's right, because the first one to build a Coliseum then wins, even though
Correct.
you spent
It
all
has
your
like a
time.
timed countdown, right? But you know, it's really the only thing is a lot of the games. You know, some people are lame and they rush, which I think is lame. Like, I like the long games. I like it where it's a little bit more competitive and there's some strategy involved. Some people want to do like scout rushes. But listen, like, I know based on the map now, if it's a water-based level, I want to play as the Koreans, or if I want to play on this level, you should pick the Byzantines. So I'm getting a little too dorky for it myself. Even hearing myself talk about it, I'm kind of embarrassed. So I'm going to go on mute now and pass it back to you, Cory. You're welcome.
And Dan, did you hear that he was criticizing us for being nerds, and now he's laying out all of this
Right.
stuff here? Really pot calling the kettle black.
He said
Tom.
Byzantines. I'm just gonna draw our attention back to that for a second.
No, Dan, that didn't work. That's a normal
No.
thing. Like, that's not a big deal. Come on, Dan.
Listen, I tried to be classic here. Game only came out in 1999. So
Well, I'll share what I'm playing. So I just finished Metaphor Refantasio. Holiday season's super busy in my line of work, so I get a lot of game playing hours. And of course, as always, blah blah blah. I'm a Magic the Gathering nerd. Blah blah blah. New sets come out every 2 months. Blah blah blah. But I did get to finish that, and I love that journey. It's another one of the Atlas games in the same line as Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. So that was really great, and they really streamlined a lot of mechanics. So it felt very fast and like paced along and clipped along really well. But my friends that are also Magic nerds have been giving me a lot of poop for not picking up another Game of the Year nominee, which is Balatro. It is one of those it's like a $10 download, or it's if you have one of those subscription services, it's a free game. And it's a deck building game based around poker. And it does live up to its hype. You can just sit down and you can like make your own poker deck, and you can like remove cards and add cards and get multipliers and all that. And you're trying to get like millions of chips. It is deceptively simple and addictingly fun. It would be your next Vampire Survivors, Tom. I'm not gonna lie. It is in that kind of alignment.
yeah, I'm checking it out online. It looks pretty cool right now. I'm checking it out while you're talking here.
After that, I'm like kind of debating what my next journey is going to be. Obviously, like with Magic, actually, it's kind of funny we're in that space. A large video game property is coming out in a set this year, and that is Final Fantasy. So I'm debating, because I never actually had a chance to purely play Final Fantasy VII, if I should be playing the Rebirth and Remake. kind of getting myself aligned for that property for a myriad of reasons that maybe I won't speak out loud, but I have a strong desire to maybe want to explore that foundation.
I feel like this is the year I should probably do that too, Corey.
Tom, do you really want to jump into
No,
a
I don't.
JRPG?
I mean, I feel like I should if we are going to go down this fantasy path. That's all I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it there. Corey's passing a lot of nonverbals to me, and Dan's clueless.
How interesting, Tom. It's like listening to the Cleveland Gaming Podcast gives you some weird subtextual inference on maybe the show to come.
I'm winking. If you can't hear it, listener, you listen.
Dude, it's an audio-only podcast. It's been a whole year, Tom.
That's one thing I've always loved, the subtle hints. You guys.
Oh, is this supposed to be subtle? Oh, sorry.
You guys are the kings of subtle teasers.
If it's supposed to be subtle, he's never gotten the memo and has failed to do so for an entire year, so it doesn't much matter at this point.
Yeah.
We're building the
Shoot.
branding as we're going, Tom. We're building it up. It's all good.
Shoot. All right. Oh, yeah, great.
But let's talk navigationally, since we kind of hinted at it. This year to come, 2025. And the Cleveland Gaming Classic is not just the one weekend of gaming, as we established last year. It's the podcast, but it's also a lot of things building up to it as well. One thing, Tom, that I'm really honored to be part of with this whole journey is that it really is a community support system. Last year, we partnered with different places to bring some pop-ups, including our TCG partner, Great Oaks Tavern. Last year, we did a wonderfully successful pre-release event and raised over $3,000 just in a single pre-release event for the Rain Science Foundation. I know this year, we got some other things we're excited to build into as well. And I guess this is kind of what you call an official announcement of some of the things that we're going to be doing this year, not just on the weekend of September 19th and 21st. Can we share that out loud, Tom? Some of the places we're going to be?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I love
It's
it.
exciting. Dan, it's breaking news. Can you give us like the little typeset sound from the old, like, you know, give us that like the breaking news sound effect? Not gonna lie, Tom, I was only 50% sure if he was gonna pick up what I was putting down, but you nailed it, Dan.
I was great. You don't even have to. I mean, if you're gonna put in.
No, I'm not. It was just too good. It was too good.
But feel free to use that audio and reuse it later in the season if you have breaking news.
Man, Dan really wants to continue to get his ROI on this show,
If
doesn't
I
he?
can get a little taste, Corey, just a little taste throughout the season, I'd be happy.
That's how you get addicted. We don't want we want you to have a healthy relationship with the show, Dan. Anyway, let's talk about some of the journeys that we're going to take leading up to it. So this, of course, includes other appearances of CGC and CGP leading up to our big show weekend in September this year. So first off, we actually have one coming up really soon here at a place we went last year for their Fae Masquerade. It is a downtown bar in Akron that has actually a really great D&D/Lord of the Rings themed bar, and also has like a really cool mini event space attached to it. It's a place known as the Green Dragon Inn. It's on Market Street down in Akron, and they have their 1-year anniversary coming up this year, and that is March 7th through the 9th. So as of date of recording, the 23rd of February, that is basically in, not next weekend, but the weekend after that. And we have a pretty exciting pop-up that we're going to be featuring there, Tom. Should we keep that secret, or do we want to say it here?
I think we could talk. It'd be kind of let's get Dan's opinion on what. Let's talk about it. What we plan on doing for.
Tom, why don't you go ahead and share it? This was a brainchild here.
This was yours, right? I don't even know. This was like.
Well, how much time do we have between this teaser and when it's actually going to happen?
Well, it's 14 days is the end of the event next day. So
Another episode?
Dan, you're asking too smart of questions that we don't know the answers to.
What I was getting at is if there's going to be another CGP episode in between then and now, then you could save it for
likely
then.
not. Likely not.
No.
I say tell everyone.
Yeah, so I don't know how did this idea even come up? I think you brought it up, Corey. We're talking about the show last year and what we wanted to do at the show last year at CGC.
Right. Yeah. I think that was when we were coming back from Korg's last year in June.
Corey, are you okay? By the way, I keep seeing a red dot behind you on camera. I keep.
Yeah, is someone trying to
worried that,
snipe
like,
you out, bro?
Silent scope is in your room or something.
I'm glad it's not just me. I didn't want to say it, but I'm like, someone's gonna snipe him out. There is a red dot
Are you on a list?
It's not worthy of us trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future. Right now, we're in the show. So if I have to go, this is a good way to go out.
For those of you listening, there's just been this red dot. It hasn't gone in front of your forehead yet, so I feel okay. But it's behind
We're
you,
fine.
so
We're
okay.
fine. We're
As long
fine.
as you're comfortable, we're comfortable.
If it,
all right, so
if it hits my head, then let me know, okay?
We'll
It's
let
the
you
worst
know.
sniper in the world. He
we'll
just
have-
can't.
like, I
line it up.
can't figure this out. No, go ahead, Cory. Sure, we wanted to pull off last year at CGC, but we opted not to. But now we're exploring it for our roadshow this season.
Yeah, so last year we kind of talked about it briefly about what kind of activations, free play things, is something that we really care about at the show. And I think everyone at some point has owned at least 5 copies and used it as table ends, and that is Wii Sports. So we are going to be bringing to everyone CGC Lanes. We're going to make a cool little bowling pop-up with a little nostalgic Wii bowling experience to put out in our various booths that we're going to do at shows.
Yeah, so we're gonna make it like CGC Lanes, very retro bowling-esque. I also still have to order the bowling shirts. Don't worry, they're on my list of things to do tomorrow. But also, too, to those of you listening, let us know if you want a CGC bowling shirt. I've got some cool ideas, Dan, where your name's on the side, and it would say like Player 2, Dan Lallo. Yeah, it's got the CGC logo on the back, that classic bowling shirt, a la Big Lebowski, and you're wearing that in CGC Lanes. Like,
Obviously, you're not a golfer.
hopefully it's got that cool, again, unique type vibe and experience that we've tried to do for years, and people love it, right? With the 80s room, the 90s room, the office room for the 2000s. So CGC Lanes, I think, is something we're going to run with for this year.
I love that idea, and I would love to have a bowling shirt. That could be like our traveling gear, right? I mean, that sets you apart.
Guys, settle in this as well, right? The Wii came out in, I think, the year 2006. That's now retro. Let's take a second to be sobered about that, right? Oh my gosh.
Retro gaming, the Wii, which was like mind-blowing. We're like, what?
Like, the Wii is almost old enough to drink now.
It depends on where you are.
Good point.
Depends on who the Wii is with.
Good point.
If the Wii is with Uncle DS, then I'm sure he's
Uncle DS, I like that. So yeah, essentially, first takeaway is we are going to be at the Green Dragon Inn celebrating their 1-year anniversary with their Ren Fair celebration, March 7th through the 9th. That is in Akron, Ohio, and you can expect to have a fun bowling experience, something that is going to be very similar to Authentically Us with our retro rooms, and also give people something really fun to do. And I know also people listening right now, there's a number of people that were at our next show that we're announcing here that we went to first time last year, and that is Colossal Con. We're going to be back at Colossal Con this year in Sandusky. We had a wonderful time last year, Tom. I got to be there a little bit at the top and at the bottom. I was also helping out at Korg's last year as well. And it was really great to see a bunch of people celebrating fandoms of all different kinds. Got us to kind of diversify and see different sides of things. And the group there is just so energetic and so aligned with, I think, what we love in the realm of just fanning out and enjoying and having fellowship and enjoying it and just coming together. So we're really excited to be back. And this year, we're going to be a much greater part of it. Not only are we going to bring, our classic game setup with some tube TVs, consoles, we're also going to be running some panels, and we're going to have a really fun experience that I'm going to not announce on this podcast, but we'll do so in the near future.
Oh, you're saving that.
We're going to save it.
Okay.
I need to get a final approval. I need a thumbs up from our.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't quite gotten that yet, but we've got some really cool paneling programming
it's a tease
stuff.
in the biz.
That's
it's
it.
a tease in the biz too. Yeah.
Call forward, folks.
I would love to go to Colossal Con. I haven't been there yet, and that's the one that's at Kalahari, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I would love to go to that. But is that the same weekend this year?
It is May 28th through June 1st.
Look at us.
Look at me. I'm the one that put it down there.
You'd also be pleased to know that I already booked an Airbnb, as opposed to booking the worst hotel you can find the week of Colossal Con. Not that has ever happened to anyone on the show or anyone that also helps us with shows. So
let me put this out here, Tom, and I think this is a fun anecdote that's worthy of sharing here on the podcast. the show doesn't come together with 1 or 3 or 4 people. There's a large team underneath us, and someone that I work with that is also a very important part of the show when it comes to helping out with the staffing. Her name is Haley, and she was there at ColossalCon for us all last year, and she was really conscious about making sure that it worked with CGC. So she actually found a hotel that was budget so we can make sure we stayed within our financial means, and she booked one for me as well. It wasn't great accommodations.
It barely met the definition of the word hotel.
I would like, you know how there's like,
oh my god,
sheet counts for blankets and all that. I think this was at 3. It was like a 3,
like
yeah,
a 5.
just about. It was a tough experience, but I knew that I said one day. Then we drove from Sandusky to Columbus to go to Korg. So, but you know, we're gonna have a really good time. We're gonna have a great crew there. So all of our friends of CGC, if you happen to be going to ColossalCon, or maybe you just want to have some more fandom, please feel free to look at ColossalCon in Sandusky and Kalahari. CGC is going to be there. We're going to represent. We're going to have some great paneling fun. We're going to have a great retro video game pop-up, and it is a great show.
Yeah, Colossal is a great partner with ours last year, and it's a good opportunity for us to expand that partnership, and I think the Wii Bowling will be a huge hit there in the panel. So, you know, thank you to them as well for being a good partner to the show. It's going to be great.
I agree.
Here's a real important question, is that if you are an exhibitor at the show, do you get access to the water park?
I don't have that answer, Dan. You're asking hard questions that I don't know if I can answer for you. I think the answer is no, but you can probably pay a nominal fee. I also would say that you can enjoy that. I am kind of like a turd in the water. I just float along. I'm not very...
The Snickers bar in the water?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, that's it. That's it. Thank you, Tom.
Maybe a question. Should we do some cosplay while we're there? Like, what would we
I've never cosplayed,
as?
but we've established last season, Tom, that you'd be Kratos or Pac-Man.
Kratos would be sweet.
Yeah.
The hair on your head is perfect for it. Boom, we got the ball joke in. Season 2, we're back, baby.
Son of a bee.
I am happy to see if Scorpion is available that day.
Yeah, you're done. You're done.
Easy.
Easy. If we have Scorpion and Sub-Zero walking around, they'll be fine. We can make the Goro costume happen. Now that's gonna blow.
Dan, if you got a good, cool $500 to spend on it, you feel free and have fun with that.
We can find it.
I believe you could.
Is there one out there that you know is like $500?
No.
I'm just taking a wild guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
As I say, because if you have a link.
I do not, but I also want to talk about our last show that I know we have scheduled, Tom. And that is another classic ally of the show that we're always excited to be part of. It happens the week right before our show, if I'm correct, Tom. And that is CCAG. What does that stand for again, Tom? Remind me.
Cleveland's classic arcade gaming show. And it's in July. It's not that close to our show.
Oh, it moved this year.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's always in the
summer.
It's always in July. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. So
I mean, when you have time, check the show notes. Be fine. It'll be great.
It's another show that has a lot of infrastructure that's similar to ours. In it's local people who enjoy games coming together and celebrating with it, and we'll have, I think, a really nice presence there as well, Tom.
Yeah. Matt Teskey does a great job. Runs CCAG. Been doing it for years, and again, I've been going to that show since I can remember. Back in the day, won the NBA Jam tournament way back in the day. So yeah, great show. Check them out. CCAG show. So, yeah.
That's what we have on the calendar right now, but there's still plenty of time before the show. Just like we did last year at one of my favorite places to go, Great Oaks Tavern, where we did our fun Magic pre-release. There is space for us to do other things like that. So, you know, that subscribe button and listening in will get you the latest news. Dan, give us the ticker tape. 2 for 2. Nailed it. Well done.
So good.
But yeah, keep an eye on all the socials, and we'll let you know of other places we're going to be. But let's get back to our podcast. Last year, we had a really great clip along of fun guests that we got to have join us, from Jason Griffith to some of our great game developers. Tommy, of course, with Raiden Science Foundation. You can't forget about the man, the second player, the Lisan Al-Gaib of CGC, Dan Lallo. But this year, we've had a lot of fun things in store for us as well. Forecasting our guests, we're still settling in on our full slate, but we're going to go on a journey. this year. As you recall, last year, at the end of every episode, we had some kind of engagement, a game, something that kind of allowed the pace of the show to have something tactile and a real life. We figure out how to make things happen. This year, we're actually going to be centering into kind of an overarching theme for the season. CGC is going to come up with our very own top 10 games of all time list. How are we going to do this? Well, this is going to be disseminated by using our guests, our fans of the show, our people that have been with us for a long time. In every episode, we're going to be asking our guests to come up with a game domain, a type that they really enjoy. For example, Tom, if it was you, you would pick maybe games like Halo, like first-person shooters. Maybe the RTSs, like you mentioned before. We're then going to ask them to come up with a top 5 list of games within that gaming genre. We're going to take that top 5 list from every episode that we have, whether it's going to be at the show or maybe at the end of the season. We're going to assemble them all together, and we're going to come up with our very own top 10 list of games. But the most important thing is that it is coming from our guests, and it's coming from you, our listeners. So take this as an original call to action. We would love to know what are some games that you think deserve to be among the top of the top, the echelons, the games that if someone never knew about gaming, they came into it, and you had to recommend you got to play these games. We want to make that list. We want to come together and collaborate on figuring out what is on our Mount Rushmore of gaming. That's going to be our journey this season. We're going to talk more about it as we get to future episodes with guests and such, as of course we always have that engagement at the end of an episode. But before we kind of vault into our engagement for this episode, Dan, Tom, what would be on your Mount Rushmore of gaming as you're sitting right now, here in this moment? Are the games that just have to be up there? Do you have maybe one or two that we could share with our loyal listeners of CGP?
I would love to hear what Tom's response to this is. I'm going to give you the floor here, sir.
It's got to be Halo, right? I feel like with all of your legacy, you got to put Halo 2 up there.
No, I wouldn't.
Really?
You know, when you were talking through that for our listeners, I'm thinking, again, what resonates with me. I mean, I instinctively go with, like, back to playing video games at my parents' house and can see the room, can see the basement, can see this tube TV, and the games that I grew up playing with my brother. I think of Super Mario on the NES. I think of Contra. I also think of, oh gosh, I just lost the last one I had. Super Mario 3. Those are the ones. Double Dragon 2. That was the last one. Those are the games when I think of, like, when it really clicked that this is trouble. So again, maybe it's the nostalgia, just bumping those all the way to the top. But those would be some of the games I would instinctively think of as some of the greatest for me for all time.
You said Double Dragon, Tom, and then you broke my heart when you said 2 and not 3.
Sorry, Dan.
Because clearly Double Dragon 3 is the GOAT of the Double Dragons. I mean,
Jimmy and Bimmy.
I don't know. I mean, I know we just shared some memories over Double Dragon 3 for the listeners. Dan and I beat that together, co-op, recently.
I was there for it. I saw it. It was magical.
We were up until like 3 in the morning.
And then I refused to turn off the system because I'm like, this can never be shut off. No, Double Dragon 2 is better. Sorry.
Oh, oof. It's okay. I'll let you slide on that.
Dan, give us one or two that's on your Mount Rushmore of gaming.
Well, let's see. It was very pivotal. Mortal Kombat 2 was very pivotal for me. I mean,
great choice.
Oh my
Great
god!
choice.
Like that one, the first one woke me up, and that's why I was digging quarters out of the couch and riding to the nearest bowling alley to, play for 5 minutes and then just spend hours watching people play. But Mortal Kombat 2 was my jam. To this day, I can still decimate on Sega Genesis. Though I have to preface that my skills are heavily leaning towards Sega Genesis. But other than that, I think you know what I'm going to say, Corey. Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Going by the amount of hours that I sunk into that thing, I have to put that up there because otherwise, why would I spend?
You put that on Mount Rushmore?
I wouldn't doubt it. It does have such resonance, and it draws people in a way that games from my retro days really draw me. I get it. I understand, Dan.
I mean, that I also had Super Mario World on my list here. I'm thinking top 5.
I do think Super Mario World. If you look at like the first 5 games, right? Super Mario Brothers. Well, I guess you can count Mario Brothers the arcade. I'm gonna put that one aside because I think it's a different kind of game. But you're talking about Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, World, and Yoshi's Island. Like that to me is the first true subsection of Mario. If I had to raise anyone as a game changer, I think World would probably be the one. Either that or 3.
Yeah, they just went all in on the secrets and everything you could do, and the cape.
It was so great to find those secrets,
you could
right?
do things levels more than one way, right? There was more than one way to do it. So,
and the overworld map was revolutionary. I know 3 had it, but I just feel like World took it a step ahead. I might just be a Super Nintendo junkie, but I just love Super Mario World.
Agreed.
I'll shorthand mine. I'll keep it simple. I'm going to put Super Mario RPG up there, and I'm going to put Ocarina of Time. I'm sure if I had to be pressed a little bit harder, I'd find more of that Mount Rushmore. But if I read anything about articles and podcasts, we got to keep on time. So I'm going to drive us to our activity of this podcast, pulling the fourth wall back, folks. We're doing it here.
You're doing a good job, Corey. Just for the record, you're doing a fantastic job, keeping it moving.
Gosh, thanks, Dan. Yuck.
Many podcasts have like a guy in the box, right? They got a guy in the box, producer, keeping everything running, doing all the behind the scenes stuff, but you're doing it all. So kudos to you, bro.
Let's go to our activity of the episode here. And this is taken from another bit of content that's out there. I love watching them on TikTok. I want to give them credit. Co-op 64. I actually met them at one of our conventions last year. And I love this little activity that they do that I'm going to be hosting for Dan and Tom to engage in. And I don't exactly know what to call it, but I'm going to call it Speak It Up When You Hear a Game Better Than. So here's how this is going to go. I'm going to present a type of game. I'm then going to set a game as the spotlight of that type of game. After that, I'm going to name games off one at a time within that same genre as the spotlighted game. Now, the two of you are not going to say anything until I say a game that you think is better than that original spotlighted game. Let me give you an example. So if I were to give a category of speak up when you hear a game with better multiplayer than Halo 2, I'm then going to name games off one at a time that are multiplayer games until one of you speaks up. So I might go GoldenEye 007, Mario Party, Perfect Dark, Mario Kart. I keep going one at a time until one of you says something and then justify why you think it's better than that original spotlighted game. I got a few of these here that we can kind of highlight and get our minds into that realm of best games of all time to help us make this list here. And I want to see if we can actually have Dan not speak for a hot second while we get off these lists here. I'm kidding, Dan, of course. I'm kidding.
He's doing a great job.
He's doing a
great job.
Dan, I'm not going to lie. I actually think you're doing a great job with this podcast so far.
Well, thank you very much. I got it. I'm trying. We're all evolving, Corey. We're all evolving.
He even upgraded his mic and head.
I have a
for
real
listeners.
this
This is a
headset
big
now.
deal. Dan, the first podcast we had Dan on, he shows up and he's just using his like mic on his PC. And Corey and I are kind of like headphones. So for listeners out there, Dan, he's rocking like JBL speakers and some, I don't even know, it's a microphone that's, I don't know, Dan, how much do you spend on your microphone? Thousands of dollars for the podcast.
I spent about
appreciate it.
$30,000 in a sound studio that I built here. That just for this one podcast that I'm doing. That's it.
And Tom, I don't know if you know this, but fun fact, Dan is actually responsible for our first YouTube comment on the CGP playlist, which is someone saying that Dan needs to get a better mic set. And look,
See?
we did it.
You're driving analytics, Dan. We
Driving
love you.
analytics
Comment.
and showing that we listen to feedback.
Yes. See, it's all about engagement.
It's all about engagement.
And we're listening and we're improving. Right, yeah. Go ahead. Back to you, Corey.
We're doing it. Season 2, baby. All right, guys, here we go. So we're going to start off with this. We'll see how it goes. Like every game is always something different. So hopefully this one goes well. So Tom and Dan, I want you to speak up when you hear an arcade game better than X-Men, the 4-stick game, right? Or where you can control one of the X-Men, and it's like one of those classic beat 'em ups, left to right. So speak up when you hear a game better than X-Men, the arcade game? First one out, Dig Dug. Hubert.
Not even close, Corey.
Dan, you're not supposed to speak. You're not supposed to speak. That's the whole point.
Wait, I didn't think it was complete silence. I thought it was just chime in when you hear one.
Yes, that's the point.
Yeah. What's the point of having a podcast unless you're gonna be completely quiet, Dan?
Just trying to keep from dead air time. Sorry, I messed up the rules, Corey. Sorry.
So let's forget that. Speaking when you hear a game better than X-Men, Qbert, Nintendo Track and Field, Asteroids, Pac-Man.
These are all lame picks. I'm interjecting. Sorry. Back.
Yeah, I'm building it up, Tom. I'm letting it go for a while.
You set the bar really high.
Yeah, right? Okay.
I'm aware. That's the point.
I know. He's doing this on purpose, Dan. Don't feed into him. We're doing great. We're doing great.
Round 2 better be better than this. We are failing hard.
Yeah, lame.
This is good content. You go.
Okay, last one was Pac-Man. How about Smash TV? Area 51.
What?
The light gun game where you shoot the aliens.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah, it's not even. We're not even in the same.
I would
ballpark.
have raised my voice, just FYI.
Area 51 game is trash.
100% wrong, incorrect.
Well, you
Space
played
Invaders.
Maximum Carnage.
Space Invaders.
Toilet Bowl League. See you later.
Galaga.
No, moving on. Keep going.
Dance Dance Revolution. NBA Jam.
All right, you're getting closer with NBA Jam, but I can't put it above X-Men.
Mortal Kombat.
Okay, now you got me.
So Dan, why is Mortal Kombat better than the X-Men arcade beat 'em up game?
It was revolutionary. I mean, that changed how arcades ran. I mean, some arcades made all their money off of that game. And I shared a little bit earlier, but I was probably 11, 12 years old. And then I would just, of course, this was like early 90s now, so parenting was different back then. But I would just leave and drive or ride my bike a few miles away to the bowling alley with strangers and adults and just watch people play Mortal Kombat.
80s were a different time.
And not to speak of the whole last year and our big special guest, but I do think the Mortal Kombat had the whole quarter on the cabinet, winner stays mentality, and I thought that was awesome. That literally created a motif, right? Mm-hmm. That was magical. Tom, would you put Captain America and his Avengers above or below X-Men?
Oh, way below. Game.
I love Captain
sound
America.
was.
I love. It was way worse, but I love that game. Like, I agree.
It was a good game.
It was a good game.
Yeah, I liked that game.
Good game. All right, here comes round 2, boys.
Oh, we're just moving on because there's no game better than X-Men. Got it. Check.
Yeah, once we get there, we then move on.
Okay.
I'm curious though, Corey. You said you were building up. So what was the last one you would have thrown out to us for this? Was Simpsons on this list?
Simpsons was on this list, yes.
Tom, what would you have said to Simpsons?
No, I listen. X-Men's like up there for me.
I do think X-Men is better than Simpsons.
We're having for the show an X-Men arcade cabinet built for this year because we looked at the games that we heard fans of the show, attendees of the show, wanted to see at the show. In everyone every year is like X-Men has to be there, so that's why we're building that cap. I mean,
you see, Dan, this is why I put that on that so Tom could have a gentle reference to something he posted earlier. See?
Oh, I didn't even notice that. But great job, Corey.
Thanks, Tom.
Was it in the notes?
No, but if you subscribe to CGC, Dan, you should know they announced it like a week ago.
I saw the original post where the cabinet had the picture was just
the silhouette
by like question. Yeah, the silhouette and then the reveal, for sure.
All right, let's go to our next round here. So round 2, speak up when you hear a better video game protagonist than Master Chief. All right, here we go. Kirby. Commander Shepard from Mass Effect.
That's such a creep.
Lara Croft. Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. You guys haven't played that. That's so wrong. Samus Aran.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Really? You're
better?
Really?
I mean, yeah, okay, yes. I'll
All right, Tom, give it to us. Why is Samus...
Number 1, Metroid. Okay, great. Number 2,
It's got the name.
yeah,
right.
I
It's got
mean,
clout.
it's legendary in terms of a franchise, and then also too just breaking that barrier for female protagonist in that role. And I can remember when we were all at school, and there was always that kid that found out whatever the code was. I don't even know what the code is now. That revealed, you know, the female protagonist, right? Samus, right?
It was when you beat the game. When you beat the game,
Correct. But
took
you
her
had to do it
helmet
in a certain. You had to do it in a certain way, I believe. Am I wrong? Am I right? I don't know. I don't think
I
it
thought
was
that was
always
part of the
revealed.
game.
Was it?
off. I think so.
I don't know. We might have to Google that. I thought there was like a special ending with Metroid based on whether it was you complete in a certain amount of time or something. There was a different ending.
No, I think you're right about it, Tom. I hate to say I'm not the best with Metroid, but I do think you are correct.
And again, even just for that reason, I think that, and still how much fans today thirst for that expansion of that franchise. I don't think that exists with Halo as much as, listen, you know me, I'm the Halo guy, right? I want that experience. When Halo Infinite came out, I want that experience. I want to play it online, but you know, a new Metroid game like that hits home to me, and I feel like that's something to capture. God, what's probably been 40 years later, right? And to still hold true. So, yeah, I'll throw my hat on that one.
Good take for that too. I was wondering where you were going to go with it, and to me that was like the one way you could justify that, and you nailed it, Tom. You nailed it. All right. By the way, my next two ones I thought were pretty good too. Would you guys spoke up for a Doom guy or Kratos maybe?
Kratos, I would have definitely spoken up, and I would love to keep going. And then like, we dethroned Master Chief with Samus. You know, like this one or that one. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, we did
Kratos,
that. We did that last season. I'm trying not to repeat things.
Yeah, I know, but like I get nervous, right? Yeah, I already save after every conversation or every.
It makes your choice. You have to
okay,
make the choice more boldly. You can't just.
I need to know what my options are.
That's not the point. It's now or never. That's your time.
What if something better?
Fortune favors the bold, Dan.
Correct. Also, just looked it up while we're talking. There are worst to best endings with Metroid. The fair ending, which requires a play less than 7 hours and 24 minutes, reveals Samus's hair is lighter brown than all the other Metroid endings. It's the first one you can it reveals that she is a female. So, again, if you beat it in greater than 30 hours, you do not know. So,
love that. All right, we got one more, guys. One more. Here we go.
All right,
I'm excited for this one. This one means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to the two of you. We'll see what happens. So speak up when you hear a franchise that has music better than Legend of Zelda. So we're talking about a franchise here. Speak up when you hear a franchise that has better music than The Legend of Zelda.
Now the entire Legend of Zelda
The
franchise?
entire discography, all of it.
Oh, okay, because I'm afraid I'm not familiar with the entire discography of Zelda.
You don't need to.
I'll do my
It's fine.
best.
It's fine.
I'll do my best.
I know you will.
I'm just gonna go by the original. That's all. That's all.
Making excuses. Love it. Here we go. Speak up when you hear a franchise with better music than Legend of Zelda. Chrono Trigger / Chrono Cross. Metroid. Kingdom Hearts. Mega Man.
oh, woof. Yeah. No, I'm out. See ya. Mega Man done.
You're picking Mega Man?
Oh my god, yeah.
That's why.
Are you crazy?
It's close, but it's close, but it's not a slam dunk.
I'm gonna
like
give you a couple
you're making
bros.
it sound
Bro. Do you know how many times
Gerudo Valley? Valley.
Metal
Done.
Man? Do you know how many hours?
Backwards Zelda theme in Twilight Princess.
All right, here we go. Dear Tom Jenkins, did you have burned CDs in your car when you were in high school of the Mega Man 2 soundtrack with remixes? Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, did you have Legend of Zelda remixes? No, absolutely not. See ya. Put a pin in it. Done. I mean, I can tell you.
I don't disagree. Listen, I've on my running playlist is 100% Mega Man 2 first widely
Correct.
bought.
You can. I used to work out to that music. There used to be like there used to be like remixes, and you could go to the gym and work out to Mega Man 2. You're not. Like no, you're not.
Yes,
no,
there
I'm not
is,
lifting
Tom.
Or going for running or cranking that up with my friends in the car. I'm pulling to the high school parking lot. Not happening. Sorry. Mega Man puts it out for me.
You know what? I will say this. I'm gonna give a shout out to Vomitron for this because their cover of The Legend of Zelda, it makes you want to march into war. I mean, it's it's sick.
Would you guys have spoken up for either Donkey Kong Country or Castlevania? Those are other two ones I think that are worthy of notation.
Castlevania,
Maybe Castlevania.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. The original Double Dragon, I definitely would have.
Good call.
Double Dragon 1 had an awesome soundtrack.
Don't you guys should not discount DKC though. That soundtrack is amazing. That's
good.
ethereal.
It's good.
It's transcendent.
Yes, it is. Don't
But
you
still
dare.
today,
Dan.
again,
Don't you dare.
there's so many people trying to emulate that Mega Man vibe, right? And just the chiptune lore that Mega Man.
Same with DKC.
No.
Same. I was also on my list too. I had Final Fantasy and Persona, but I don't think you guys would have even clocked it for a second, which I think are top 10 soundtracks. Not close. But what do you guys think? Am I off my rocker and Mega Man was just far and away the best? Maybe Castlevania is? You should tell us in the comments of this episode. And as always, do all the things, the like, the share, the subscribe, book your tickets for CGC September 19th through the 21st, and catch us at the Green Dragon Inn, Colossal Con, CCAG. Look at all the things I said. This show is not just isolated. You should enjoy the things that we do all year round, and we're excited to go on the journey with you.
Yeah. Keep an eye out on new engagements that we announce as the year progresses. Never know what's going to happen, Corey. There could be more. We'll see.
Dan, do you know something I don't know?
Well, I don't know, but let's just
Seems highly unlikely, Dan, but I appreciate the zeal.
Let's just say that you may want to crack open a cold one while I tell you.
What is happening?
I don't know, Tom, but
See, this is the teasing.
Oh,
that
this is
I'm
another
getting into,
tease.
right?
This
This is how we do it.
Sorry.
it's a tease with
teaser,
actual
yeah.
no
You know,
information
we-
underneath it. He doesn't.
we're
he's just
infamous.
teasing something that he may or may not know.
Tom and I had a conversation.
Let's.
You know,
I got nowhere to go. Corey, back to you.
No, it's on you, Tom.
What? Oh, well, I don't know. What do you think, Corey? Before Dan reveals any more things that we're not sure we're doing for the show yet this year, do you think we?
I said you never know what we're gonna do. Who knows?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, before we get to that next, before we get to Flashman stage, I think we should hit save on this file for now. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe we'll write down the password as well. Thanks everyone for listening to episode 1 of season 2 of CGP. My name is Corey.
This is Final Boss Tom.
And this is Dan, player 2.
Our Lisan Al Gaib. Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Gaming Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cleveland Gaming Podcast.
Powering down.